Let's have a look what's in flower on today, the 1st of October. Surprising amount, considering we're now in autumn. Here we are, here's familiar plant ragwort, lots of it along this lane, still in full flower. As we come a bit further along, we've got a plume thistle, still plenty of flowers have gone over, but there are several that are still in full bloom. White dead nettle, still looking very fresh. Just hiding behind it, if we pull these away, there is a mallow still in flower as well. And here we see just still a bit in flower, the purple flowers of lucerne, probably left over from some agricultural planting. And here we have possibly the most familiar thistle in the English countryside, the creeping thistle. And down here, still with plenty of buds on it as well as flowers out, is the bladder campion. Another agricultural leftover, tiny plant of oilseed rape. Rather nice example of a mallow, still in full flower. Growing in this bank on the side of the road with field scabious. Always think of this as a flower of the summer, but it actually has quite a long flowering period. Almost ubiquitous from summer onwards, white flat flower heads of yarrow, member of the Achillea family. There's lots of garden varieties and all sorts of yellows, purples and reds, but this is the wild. Up here we've got something that looks more like a garden specimen of yarrow, and it's got rather nice pinky purpley flowers. Down here we've got a tiny bit of common knapweed, mostly gone over as you can see by all the dead flower heads, but just the odd, rather scrappy looking flowers surviving. Higher up in the hedgerow, quite a lot of dogwood, some of it is in flower, and it looks like there's going to be a lot more in flower very shortly, which is rather nice. Where would we be without the ubiquitous dandelion? Seems to be able to flower most of the year round. Here we have one of autumn's main flowers, ivy blossom, very attractive to insects, as you can probably tell, hopefully by the sound, but the sight of wasps, particularly wasps here, but also flies, bees, and in a good year a lot of butterflies, but this year is not a good year. Appearing out of nowhere, an oxeye daisy by the side of the road. Here we have that plant beloved of guinea pigs and rabbits, the sow thistle. Common garden weed, groundsel. And down here on the edge of the path again, some mayweed, still flowering despite the fact we're now in October. And here we have familiar roadside plant, hogweed. Some wood avens. Growing very low down, I think this is a century, possibly a common century. Lovely display of pink flowers down in the a little bit further on. Purpley pink flowers of betony. We have the distinctive purple plumed sort of flower of greater knapweed. One of our prettiest wildflowers, wild toad flax, growing in quite a lot of profusion along this bit of road verge. And at this road junction we have one of those very familiar grassland plants, red clover. Some cow parsley growing along this treeless, hedgeless verge. Here we have some bedstraw, its white flowers on the side of this bank. And here we have every gardener's friend, the very persistent blue alkanet, that has to be said, extremely attractive flowers nonetheless. And even amongst all the dead flower heads we find the odd red poppy, which is still in flower. Possibly an escape from a planted conservation margin, but still a very pretty flower to see. This is chicory, agrimony. Here's some hedge bindweed persisting in flower along the side of the road. And down in the mown grass, a familiar plant, the daisy. There's still a few flowers left on the bramble plants, probably never to produce a blackberry in their lifetime. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it and that you'll join me again some other time. Bye bye.